everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Ariane Zurcher, and today I'm going to be demonstrating the Cast-On Bullion Circle. This is something that I started playing around with. It's just like the Cast-On Bullion loop, but a little different in that I'm making it into a complete circle. And I'll show you some examples of how I've used it and things I've been working on, as well as using it with different threads and thread weights. So come along and join me. Don't forget to hit that like button, click on the subscribe button and the little bell that pops up for email notifications. And let's get started. So I'm using my Painter Soft Cotton. This is Frederick, and I've got my, this is a Tulip Milner's, a number, it's either a 1 or a 3, I can't remember, but with the elongated eye, I'm actually able to thread a thicker weight onto a thinner shaft, which is nice. So there it is, and I'm going to do my quilter's knot. And then I'm going to find an area that I want to do a little cluster of these Cast-On Bullion Circles. And I think I'll do maybe a group up here around this area, sort of in this darker area here. So the way you do a Cast-On Bullion Circle is really like a loop, but with a loop I might have my thread emerging there and I might come out as far as here. With a circle, I'm really going to come in as close as I can so that there are really only a couple of threads dividing where the thread emerges and where I've inserted my needle. Now I'm going to do my cast-ons. That's 7. I find that it needs to be at least 12, depending on the thread weight. I did 14 there. I'm going to pull this through, and I typically need my needle nose pliers to pull through. And then I'm going to pull it through like that. And I'm going to pull it hard so that it comes full circle. And then I'm going to anchor it right there, and I'm going to come up just inside the edge of the inside of the little circle that forms. And now I'm going to anchor my thread down right here. Do you see where it's going? I'm not going on the outside. I'm actually going right on the inside of where that little cast-on area is, so that I get just a little, I could have come a little closer there so that you don't see this. If it was a little closer in, it would have been better. I'll show you the next one. But that's a circle. So now I'm going to come and I'm going to do my next circle, say here. Doesn't really matter where. I'm going to do a whole cluster of these. A couple of threads away. And then I'm going to start my cast-ons. I like to do different, vary the number of cast-ons. So this is 18. Pull it through. And come right down where there's a little gap. Do you see how with a bullion you can make the full circle seamless, but with the cast on you do have a sort of start and a finish. But I'm going to anchor my thread right in the middle, and it doesn't completely mimic the cast on stitch because it's really just a tacking stitch, but it does add a little sort of illusion of it being a never-ending circle. Now I'm coming right up into the inside of that hole in the center, and again I'm going to tack that down. And there it is. I do a cluster of these. I could come back here and do another, tack this down again if I wanted. I'm not going to worry that this is obvious and showing because I'm going to keep going with my little cluster here. And once I have a whole bunch of them, none of it's going to really, your eye isn't going to notice. So again, just a few stitches away. This will be a shorter one simply because I don't have that much thread left on the needle. This is 14. I'll pull that in. I'm going to push it right down, anchor it. It doesn't really matter. And there. And my background is a hand-dyed linen that I bought from a company called Fiber on a Whim, which does beautiful hand-dyed. It's a linen cotton blend, actually. I'll put the link in the description section, as well as a link to all the threads. All right, so let's see. I think I'm going to try I'll try an Oriental linen. This is an Oriental linen, it's meadowgrass. Again, I'm going to thread it on this, I think, number 3 Milner's by Tulip with the elongated eye, which allows me to actually thread a slightly heavier weight thread onto a thinner shaft, which I like when I'm doing a bullion or a cast-on bullion, whether it's a loop or a regular or a circle. So I'm going into my cluster here. It doesn't matter that it's a different thread. You'll see it will actually add a little interest. So when I anchor my thread, I just want to make sure that I'm going sort of in the general area of that circle. I don't want to go too far out or it'll show itself very obviously. Then I go into that inner circle and I tack it down by going just in to where, do you see where my needle is? Right in there. And that tacks it down, and it also, the thread kind of disappears inside. I mean, you can see this because the variegation actually shows up, but this one you can't really see. And this you can't really see. And you see how it makes a pretty nice looking little circle. So I'll do a couple more of these. And then I'll switch and do a different thread. I've threaded up silken pearl on my tulip milliner's needle. This is dried roses, which is kind of fabulous. And I'm going to do, so here is my little cluster. I think I'll do a few kind of running up along here. I'm going to still keep with the cluster, but they're going to start meandering above. So that's 16. There's my little cluster, silken pearl, Oriental linen, soft cotton, and now I'm doing a number 8 weight. This is House of Embroidery, and I threaded it on a milliner's, but this is one of those multi-packs, you know, it's like a number 9 through a number, I don't know, something, and it's a thinner shaft, but it also can hold a 8 weight thread, and I believe this is a tulip, and you can see the shaft is thinner. I actually might try to thread it on this one. The thinner the needle, the tighter my stitches are going to be, which I like when I'm doing both a bullion knot and a cast-on bullion. I try to find the needle that is the thinnest shaft that I can thread this on. This is a little tight, so let's phrase it a little bit, and I don't want that. I want to be careful about that. I think I already did a knot, yep. All right, so I'm going to continue with my little cluster here. Again, I just pick up a couple of threads. I really want that circle to be looking a seamless circle, if possible. Now with a lighter weight thread, of course, you're going to use more cast-ons because it's a thinner thread and therefore you can take more. You could also do smaller, but it's just going to be a smaller circle, and that's fine too. So that was 18 cast-ons, and if I wanted a really tiny circle, I could have just done 12. I like to vary the number of cast-ons that I do so all my circles are not exactly the same. I want them to be a little different. And I'm going to go right up into that center of the inner circle. This is going to show because the variegation changed, and so I'm going from that kind of dusty rose to a gray. That's okay. Making my little tack a little smaller. Go in here. I'll do 16 on this one. So I did a series of cast-on bullion circles here, interspersed with some French knots and colonial knots. These are done in, this is a silk ribbon, a 4mm silk ribbon, this darker one, and the lighter is a 8-weight pearl cotton. So that's what it looks like, is just a huge sort of cluster of them. And I think it can be quite effective and dramatic. And then here is the cluster I've been working on, which is the oriental linen, the soft cotton, the silken pearl, and then the 8-weight pearl cotton. The last example I'll show you is clusters of them done in a silken pearl here, and again here, and then a few sort of strays going off. So I hope you found this helpful, and maybe it made you think about trying to do a cast-on bullion circle and see where it takes you. But it has lots of nice elements to it, especially when you start playing with colors and the weights of threads and putting it all together. Don't forget to hit that like button, click on the bell for email notifications after you subscribe, and talk to me. Leave me comments in the comments section. Until next time, here's to exploring and stitching together.